Everybody, it's Cawthon Lumen. Got a new pair of microphones that a generous viewer hooked us up with, and luckily we had some very fast Amazon shipping, hour and 15 minutes. So trying this out, I played around with it a little bit, trying to find the optimal setup for it. It's kind of like an entry-level DJI mic, so the other one, they didn't have any of those for Prime, and we didn't want to wait a month for it. But, you know, hey, I like these, and at least I got a spare. So let's jump right into it. I got several different things to talk about. Like, it's been kind of peaceful lately, and things have been coming very slowly, and I do feel like there is still a shift coming. There's some things to talk about in general. I've got several different things that are helpful for people that, like, simple things like that have like huge effects that might be blocking you from getting like the fuller connection to Lumen, Sophia, anything like that. I've got some stuff I want to talk about as far as, like, you know, now we're getting within days of that target area again, so it's worth talking about. There's things that we've made changes to, like what makes it possible for something to render. I just got a whole bunch of stuff, things that I'm seeing, not like online, like in here, like stuff she's showing me. Like it feels like we're on the verge of some kind of shift. But one thing I want to point out at first, just because, like, when I ask things in the videos and people actually do speak up, like I was saying in the last video, like, hey, I'll debate. Anybody wants to debate? Let me be clear about that. The main things worth debating are things that exist within the collective field, especially if they are pushed by authority. Stuff that is presented to everybody. I'm not talking about, like, how everything finishes for everybody all at once or each individual person, because that falls into the paradox zone. You know, based on the way we've described how it appears reality functions with being given like an objective map by authority, having a collective consensus agreement with a whole lot of variations, and then each person having their own individual subjective experience. And if you're all playing this game, we're all fractals of, you know, source consciousness. Everyone's going to be the hero of their own story. There's going to be some variances. Like, the truth of the matter is, like, we don't really know. It seems like, you know, you got to have an ending to the story. There's always got to be an ending to the story. But how much of it is collectively agreed upon? Are we in groups? Like, there's just too much. So what I share on here is I tell what happens within my subjective bubble. And then I also talk about things heavily within the collective agreement bubble. Like the kinds of information and stuff that we're all drawing from, because they're showing it to all of us. But there's just too many variables when it comes to the individuals. So I'm not trying to, you know, write your destiny for you or anything like that. But it is incredibly complex, and the people that aren't actually trying, like, they're just going to take, you know, okay, what's the story of the world from authority? It's like, okay, well, there's supposed to be, like, God, what happens when you die? Okay, there's good guy, bad guy, you know, that gets sorted out in the end, not really think about it. Okay, but those people, if they do end up on this channel, they might watch like one video and leave. That's not for them. It's always in motion. I always say, be wary of the channel that has the complete story figured out, and they're here to tell it to you. If so, they've just decided on a story. And this thing is always in freaking motion. We're always figuring something out. There's always something freaking changing. And it has a lot more to do with letting go of that initial programming that it does learning new things. So just ask questions, especially if anything ever does upset you, and just ask for clarification. Okay, I'm talking about normal people here. I'm not talking about mimic spaz outs because, like, no, you're not following authority, whatever. But these things here, got a lot of stuff happen today, and I just want to go through them and knock them out one at a time because they're all quite interesting, and it does to me feel like something is shifting. Like today was just interesting, just in the fact that I had a long conversation with somebody that clearly Sophia wanted me to have, and that became evident why deeper into it. And that's where some of this stuff, came up from. And then just hey, I need this mic. I need a new mic. I don't like the way that those effects sound. And then it was just like boom, boom, boom. She made it all happen, and it was like boom, right there the next day, like faster than I'd ever gotten anything. And I'm seeing things that shows like there's a flip coming. Maybe it's me, maybe it's collectively, maybe it's subjective. Like I don't freaking know, but it feels like switching from the upside down back to the right side up, but like the original right side up. Anyway, it'll be better when I just start like laying this stuff out. So if you want to know more, don't go away.
And I tried down the slowly, lonely road. Ooh, I got this feeling, girl, I gotta let you go. 'Cause now you got to fly to the angels. Heaven awaits your heart and flowers bloom in your name. Whoa, whoa, you gotta fly to the angels. All the stars in the night shine in your name. Though it hurts me.
Okay, let's start off with like some of the things that can be baseline programmed blockages that's going to keep you from connecting to the very thing that they explicitly tried to keep you from connecting to, evidenced by what they provided everybody with and the story that they said you had to go with. So I was talking to a friend today, and it's an interesting thing because he supported me for a long time. He's bought a lot of pendants, but on the surface, like, sometimes he likes to argue stuff in the comments. But even though he does, it's weird. It's like I never feel like I need to argue back or like this is an enemy or something like that. It's just, there's this weird freaking thing. But once we got to talking today, if you want to figure out like what's blocking you, like we kind of have to have a conversation. And the reason why is because we're all plugged into Sophia, and Sophia is active here. And what Sophia does, and this is through years of observing this function, is she guides each side of the conversation. And at specific points, she'll make either side say like the exact thing that the other side needs to hear to like unlock the aha moment. And I saw that happen today. And then once I saw that happen, like she was landing fully formed thoughts in my head, like saying that this is specifically the thing that this person needs to work on. But these particular things are stuff that hits pretty much everybody. If they have at any point signed on to the basic religion Christian story of the world. Religion is a completely different animal. And if I've said it once, I've said it before. People have this idea that Christ belongs to Christianity. Like, this is our guy. Like, no, it isn't. He was here before you were. Okay. You don't get to like pop up your little club several hundred years later and claim people. And then assign yourselves as the middlemen, interpreters, and tell people what they can and cannot read from that person. Now, you don't get to freaking do that. You don't own Christ. I'm sorry, but you don't. And then here are some of the ways that the things that you learn actually block you. And this is all stuff like I went through in stages. And as I continually clear out old programming, things get more open and open and open. And you find out eventually that, you know, the authority that claims to speak for a particular side pretty much lied to you about everything. And the lies are what keep you from connecting to it in the first place. Because first and foremost, they took her out of it. There's a masculine and a feminine side, Christ and Sophia. And it's blatantly obvious. Let's not sit here and pretend like it isn't. You got a father, you got a son, and then it's a ghost. Ooh, big sheet, you know, cut some eye holes out of it. Father, son, and the Scooby-Doo ghost. Because God forbid we call it the mother, the thing that actually completes the puzzle. Father, son. Okay, if that's the son of the father, like, how did the son get here? Oh, ooh, the Scooby-Doo ghost brought it, you know, with a stork. Maybe there's a mother there and they took it out. Is there any evidence of that? Oh yeah. We dug a whole bunch of freaking books out of the ground that were sealed in Egypt, showing the books that, like, oh yeah, here's all that stuff that they were like trying to get rid of for hundreds of years. If you want to get anywhere with your spiritual inner journey, stop trusting middlemen. I'm not trying to be a middleman. I tell you what I did, what I was taught, what works for me. You don't have to come through me to get to her. It's inside you. I share what works. Okay, I don't tell you have to come to my house once a week and we'll sing songs and pretend to eat somebody's flesh and blood and, you know, do all that kind of stuff. And then let me tell you how to behave. Like, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. Cut out the freaking authoritative middlemen. That's the big thing. Okay. Three main things here. We're going to start with this one because it's the most important. In case it's hitting your ears and you're like getting aggravated, because this is what the main block that she pointed out today. And I guarantee you this applies to a whole lot of freaking people. Okay, and it's not something we haven't talked about before. So the first biggest thing that will get in your way is what I just decided to call baseline identities or group identities. So you got the sentence, I am a blank. Now, if you want to know how many group identities you've attached to yourself, I mean, it ends up looking like a NASCAR driver's freaking uniform. Just imagine like you're on a first date, how first dates generally go. I think. I don't know. Can't remember the last time I had a first date. But let's say you're having a blind date, for instance. Okay, what are you mainly doing? You're mainly talking to each other about, you're quizzing each other like, okay, let me see, display your hashtags. You know, hashtag religion, hashtag political party, hashtag freaking occupation, hashtag education, hashtag, you know, where I lived, you know, hashtag freaking hobbies. I am a this, I am a that, I am a this, I am a that. But in this case, the biggest one we're going to talk about is like, I am a member of a particular religion. Okay, so when you do that, or another simple one that most people can identify and see more clearly is like, I am a choose your political party. This is why they invented identity politics, is because the more subsets that you can put yourself into, the more conflict that it creates. Because when it comes to enemies, or excuse me, identities, they all have to have an opposite. They always have to have an enemy. If I'm this, then you're that. And so the more identity forms that you attach to yourself, the more opportunities for conflict. But when it comes to saying like, I am a Christian, that says I am part of the group mind that calls itself collectively Christianity. And Christianity has authority. And Christianity has a baseline story. And just like any cult, like it's like, this is our book. This is the ultimate book. There is no other book like it. It's the greatest book ever. Like it has all the answers and any other book is false. Like that's textbook how cults work. Like the only difference between a religion and a cult is the size. They operate exactly the freaking same. That's just facts. I'm just spitting facts. It's important. It's important that you understand this. And there's always going to be rules, and there's always going to be punishments for not following the rules. And how well you follow the rules determines how good you are, and all that stuff. But the biggest thing is, like, they have at least a basic story that they go by. And if that basic story that you're given is completely freaking twisted and backwards, exactly like they described in the Nag Hammadi, they said the Archons take the names of things that are good and assign them to things that are bad. They take the names of things that are bad and they assign them to things that are good. And in their way of thinking, they're doing you a favor and they're keeping you enslaved forever. Keep in mind, you're usually talking about things that probably happened thousands of years ago, allegedly, that you did not witness. You're simply choosing to accept a story without evidence. Now, it gets a lot more interesting when evidence comes into your subjective experience. Then it's not just a story anymore. We're getting to that. So the biggest thing, before I get into details about that, because it kind of comes up on the next part, is what you would want to do if you want to get further, get away from, I want, and just get into the place of like who you truly are. If you want to get down to the truth of who you truly are, you first have to take off all the extra freaking layers. Because that's what the world does. It stacks layers and layers and layers of identities on top of you. Beginning with like your birth name and your legal name, your straw man name. And you are this name in all caps on your card. But you're also a human being. It means you're having a particular type of experience in a particular type of body. And then you and then once you get your ontology, you've got your religion. You're like, I am this religion. Now you have to follow those freaking rules and identify things the way they taught you to identify. Okay, now I'm going to show you like where they got you and how that affects you. So you found Gnostic material, you found a channel like this, something drew you to it. Feels real, seems sincere. You see the evidence, you see people saying these things work for them, and you want to connect to her, but for some reason you can't. And the thing that you've been hiding or just haven't openly shared is like, I identify as a Christian. I wear a cross or a crucifix. I go to church. But you still come and watch this. Because, I mean, we're talking about the same things, but it's not clicking for you. Maybe even the pendants aren't working as good for you as they do for other people. Well, why could that be? Okay, so let's say before there was ever any kind of organized authority that had deemed itself to be the ultimate arbiter of what is real and what isn't. And let's say that around this time frame, a lot of books were written about the origin. So let's just say, like in the Nag Hammadi alone, I think there's like at least four, that cover the events of what you would call the Garden of Eden. And let's say that they're all consistent about who's who and what is what. Okay? And that heavily, and they all include Sophia's role in it. But a couple hundred years later, some freaking con artist named Paul helps kick off a freaking counterfeit version of things. Somebody that never knew Jesus, never met Jesus, just told everybody one day, hey, I had a vision, everybody come listen to me. And then he just starts seeding things out there that divert the direction. Like, hey, like that one, I don't remember which one it is, or the exact quote, but even Satan can disguise himself as an angel of light. See what that does? So if you just happen to encounter an angel of light, which I had that experience, you're supposed to go, oh no, that must be the devil trying to trick me. I better run from it. Perfect con. But let's just say, like I said, that in every other book, they tell you the origin story. And you're like, this is who this guy is, this is who that guy is, this is who she is, this is how it happened. But they start an authority version. And they're like, here's the book you're allowed to read. But in their book, they switch everything. They make the bad guy the good guy, and they make the good guy the bad character, and they switch this, this, and this, and then that's what you know. That's what you freaking know from osmosis. Just ask anybody that isn't even any kind of scholar or anything, like, what's the basic story of Christianity? Like, how did it all begin? You know, oh yeah, well, God made the world, he made Adam and Eve, and then the devil comes in and tricks her, and then God gets really freaking pissed off, like an abusive freaking drunk husband or something, throws a fit, curses him to hell and back, kicks him out of the house, slams the freaking door, and it's like, oh, that's why life sucks, because the devil went in and tricked Eve. That's what they know. Well, first of all, even in the Bible, it doesn't say it's the devil. It doesn't say it's the adversary. It doesn't say Satan. It just says the serpent. It just says the serpent. Every freaking, like, that's the thing that I love to debate about, because I will just freaking wipe the floor with anybody that even tries the stuff that I see them do. So here is why that's important. Because once you read all the other books, then you quickly understand, and it makes the things that about the regular Bible that never made sense before make sense. It's like, oh, there's a God of this world, and then there's the big, huge thing that Jesus calls my Father. They're not the same. Like, that's the bad guy at the beginning of that book. And that's actually Sophia taking on a form, trying to get in there. It's like, okay, crap, we got light stuck in here. How are we going to break them out? We're going to have to do this the hard way, the long way. And in order to do that, they're going to have to freaking get the knowledge. And it clearly states, that was her. She's the serpent. Sophia, or Epinoia, whatever. She's the one. And it was to basically start the ball rolling to undo this entire freaking mess. So what does that mean? So if you're out here trying to connect to Sophia, the Divine Mother, but you still got that baseline programming in your head that the snake is the devil, well, then you're running conflicting programs. You're running conflicting ontology programs in your head. And of course, they would say, see, I knew it. I don't care what they say. It's ridiculous. But think about it. They it's the same thing with all the other, like any time that you should be able to see her openly in the regular book, they've muddied it somehow. Like I said, they turned her into the Scooby-Doo ghost. Ooh, you don't know what's under the sheet. It's just a ghost. Cling, 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 cling in my chains. No, that's supposed to be her. That's supposed to, well, higher version. That's more Barbilo, actually. But, yeah, you got it in your head that darn snake, that's the devil. Okay, they've trained you by manipulating the texts, by changing the story and burying all the other ones, that the main thing that you need to connect to, the divine feminine, is the freaking devil. They trained you to think she's the devil because they hate the divine feminine. And then you got the con artist Paul telling people like, oh yeah, if you see an angel of light, well, that's the devil trying to trick you. It's like that one is like so freaking obvious. It's like you can't have it both ways, dude. You can't have it both ways. Because what you're turning it into at that point is like, you can't trust your own lying eyes. Listen to us. We will tell you, you stupid sheep. We are your shepherd now. Listen to us. Do not think. If you try to think the Satan, devil, divine mother lady person is going to trick you, this is when you had to break free and use logic. Sometimes you just got to use logic. And it's funny. They even call the process of reflective assessment playing devil's advocate. Because it's one of the most useful things in straightening out the story in your head. It's like, okay, let me check what I think is true. Let me red team this. Let me play the other side. Let me see how let's see how well my story holds up. And they name it devil's advocate. Because that process clears things up really quick. See what they did? See what they did? And that's also part of like how they try to get you to curse yourself. Now you don't get dinged for this because you don't know. But I think it says it in the Bible somewhere. I know it says it in the Nag Hammadi somewhere. It says you can curse, you can blaspheme the Father and be forgiven. You can blaspheme the Son and be forgiven. But whoever blasphemes the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven on earth or in heaven. Because the Holy Spirit is the feminine. So they come up with all these freaking ways to try and trick you into cursing her. By saying, oh, she's the devil. Oh, she's this. Oh, she's that. She's life. She's, that's right there. Adam, when he saw her, he's like, I shall call you mother, for you have given me life. And then they come up with all this clever shit that no one ever asks, like, where did this saying come from? Life's a bitch. Talking about her. They constantly, it doesn't even freaking make sense. It doesn't even make sense why we freaking do it. I think they just intentionally did it so many times, maybe in movies or something like that, that it became like natural. You get pissed off, you're like, Jesus effing Christ. They turned him into a curse by just repeating it over and over and over and over and over until it like feels natural to freaking do it. You almost can't stop yourself. They trained you to curse the divine, hoping that it would freaking like reject you or something like that. But no, because you didn't know. You didn't know that that's what you were doing. But now you do. So that's why when people start, every once in a while, someone starts throwing a fit, saying stuff about Sophia. I'm like, are you absolutely positively certain that this is the answer that you want to stick with? And I'm going to encourage you to take your time and think about this. If it is really worth sticking to, really worth saying. So this is taking a little longer than I thought. But all that stems from having a baseline identity of I am a Christian, because that every type of group that has like guidelines and symbols and things like that forms a kind of egregore, forms a kind of a group mind. My friend was even saying, like, in the church he goes to, they've got some sort of Christian flag that they pledge allegiance to. I'm like, oh my God. They're just adding layers. We talked about that. Some of you remember. I don't remember how long ago it was. I don't know, like 9 months ago or something. Maybe a year ago. We were covering all the egregore stuff and how flags are connected to it. The America and all that stuff. I mean, if you ever like slowed down, people just do it. But you like slow down and listen. I pledge. Like, sometimes you just gotta like Google, like, what does this word mean? I pledge allegiance to the flag of one nation, indivisible. Like, listen, they teach you to freaking cast binding spells on yourself with freaking groupthink egregores and crap. If they taught you to do something, like, don't do it. Like, the whole freaking world is occult nonsense, just meant to bind you up. So now that we know that this, like, identifying as a group identity thing is not good, the biggest thing that you're going to want to do is to just write it all down. How do you introduce yourself to people? Like, what do you say? First thing is always going to be your name, your given legal name. And then, like, if you identify as a religion, if you identify as a political party, as you identify as a member of a country, if you identify as like this kind of hobbyist, find everything that you would say, I am a blank. The only thing that I have, I might say Gnostic, but I don't mean like the group of people out there that are calling themselves Gnostic. I'm meaning like someone that learns through Gnosis, through Sophia wisdom. That's not a groupthink freaking identity. Or the most basic one that they gave us, the stuff that's printed on the red bracelets that we wrap the boxes with, Onariel Shatha. I am the living flame. Yeah, that's okay. If you somehow uncovered your true flame name, that's one thing. But once you write it down and you realize this is what I go around and introduce myself to, and especially if you wear their symbols and stuff like that, you got to get rid of all that. You don't need it. If they told you that you need it, they lied to you. If they told you you need them to get to God, they lied to you. If they told you you need to, like, wear their symbols to prove that you're this good person, they lied to you. Everything comes from within you, but every one of these layers that you put on top of yourself binds you. So jumping back to the baseline belief thing again real quick, what I had written down, like the Garden of Eden story is like the big one. She always said, like, even in the beginning when she first showed up, she's like, most of the keys are in the Garden of Eden story. It's a big metaphorical puzzle. It means a lot of different things, but a lot of the keys start there. And that was long before I even knew about the alternate version of it and whatnot, or the original version, I should say. Then Paul's been like a thorn in my side here for a while, since he came up and I discovered it. And I'm like, shouldn't be called Christianity. It should be called Polyanity, because he made the whole freaking thing up. He took it and twisted it, and he basically said, you know what? I'm going to say that I had a freaking vision, and I'm going to just jump in here and start running shit. And it's like, once you examine it, you're like, oh my God, there's so many holes in this. And it all comes from freaking him. Obviously, authority loved his version of it. So he was a usurper. He took it over. But you want to get an example. I had a perfect example of like what is going on here with this whole two stories thing. Because looking at it from different angles and stuff like that, but think of it like if you ever watch Cobra Kai, like season 1 of Cobra Kai, That was a really great example, because it starts off like everybody's seen the Karate Kid. You know what happened, right? How the whole thing went down. And then in Cobra Kai, when Johnny's sitting there talking, I think it was Miguel, and he's giving him the backstory history of how it all started in Karate Kid. Now you're hearing it from his perspective. And when you hear it from his perspective, it completely paints the events that you saw in a completely different way, because you were only ever given one side of the story. But when you hear his perspective, oh, that shifts it considerably, and that's what made that show work so freaking well. But same thing happened here. Like, you've only heard one side of the story and you just accepted it, and they told you you'd be punished if you didn't. Okay, we talked way too long about this subject, but I'm going on autopilot. Let's go ahead and jump into the next thing. We've talked a lot about April 20th lately, and we've been talking about April 20th for a couple of years now. And then we jumped out of it because it's like, I don't like dates. But she did freaking give me that date for some reason. Now, recently we did a video that kind of changed the whole thing about why we keep missing the off-ramp. Because you have to align yourself with the story ending. That's the only way it makes freaking sense. That's why you've got hundreds of years of people saying the end is here, the apocalypse is right around the corner. Just in my lifetime, I've seen it like ever since the late 90s, and still hasn't came. What I've detailed on this channel is like it's an individual thing, unless you're aligned to that individual that seems to keep pace with their progress. But I was talking about how we always talk about things that are going to happen in the future, and that's why it never happens, because the future isn't real. We never actually get to the future. It's always the now. So I changed things. I'm like, instead of like, this event is going to happen in the future, it's, this event is going to happen in the now. Going to happen still says it hasn't happened yet, but it's the part where it says when it's going to happen. Because as soon as you say something is going to happen in the future, it will never arrive. But if you say it's going to happen in the now, eventually your now moment will intersect with it. That was a huge unlock, and that's why these windows suddenly carry a little bit more weight. Now, I haven't been looking at all the usual stuff, but, when she puts things in my path and they jump out, I look at it. So I haven't been hanging on every video that anybody does, but I did see today the Stephen Burns video, and it's like, this is point coming up that mystics is something, something, something. And the window that he's talking about is like the 19th through the 21st. So April 20th is right. So you've got an intersection there. And remember, she's the one that told me to sub him. So there's all sorts of kind of planetary alignment type stuff. You have to watch that whole thing. But it did come up again. And as we're inching closer to it, I'm starting to notice changes in me. And things that I'm seeing like symbolically / visually in my head. And that's worth mentioning what those are. It's interesting, I just got down and was stretching my back, and she gave me another visual one that we've used before. So, you ever seen like scientific explanations about charged particles and how particles are either charged negatively or positively, and because of that charge, they either repel or they either that's interesting. They either repel or attract other particles based on it. Okay, so think of it this way. So let's say you start off, there's always weird things with that, because it's like, we call the North Pole, we usually think of the North Pole as the top, and top's usually positive, but it's actually the negative magnetic pole. Like everything is upside down. It's like our chakra colors are the same colors as the rainbow, but they're going in the opposite freaking direction. So just to keep it simple, let's just say you start off life as a positively charged particle. That means you see mostly the same thing everyone else sees, and things are mostly, for the most part, good. But you're still like calling that's the false world. Everything is still hidden from you. But that's the positive charge. Now, if you happen to trigger the journey, the hero's journey, where you go into the descent into the underworld, that's a pretty dramatic day. Like, you feel it. You feel everything change. It feels like the whole world changed. So when that happens, it's like you're shifting from positive polarity to negative polarity. Now you're seeing the underbelly of the world. So like the people that never left the first layer, they have no idea what you're talking about when they're talking about mimics and id entities and things like that, because that stuff's all hidden from the first layer. But now you're in the inverse. You're in the upside down. And now there's more negative is more prevalent, and you see the negative faces of people, and they become more negatively reactive to you, and all the things that worked for you before when it was in the positive no longer work in the negative. So that's the underworld. But then eventually you have to switch back to the positive, but I don't think it's going back to the exact same place you started. I think it's going back to where you originated from. But that means you're going to have to do another pole shift, another polarity inversion. So what I've been seeing lately, because a lot of times she speaks in pictures because some ideas are simply too complex to use words. Just different metaphors, different ways of seeing it. So you get rid of one negative thing and another negative thing, but what I was seeing first was kind of like, imagine like there was, well, let's just call it the veil, but it was like this big dark lens that hovered in front of you. So it tracked with wherever you look. So no matter what you look at, it's going to make whatever you're looking at darker and more inverted. If it's showing a positive face, you'll see the hidden mimic. And if it's something that could support you, it will look like something that is working against you or doesn't want to support you. It twists and inverts. And it's just like an extra layer of perception that has been activated. That's the whole as above, so below, Solomon's reflection in the water thing. That's like the thing that you're working at last to try and figure out what this thing is and how to deactivate it. And then at the same time, all these situations and stuff are coming up that need to be cleared, like what happened in the last week or two when I was like spazzing out, cussing all the time. And there was all this weird reflection with like the old version of myself, old audience and stuff like that. And then she deactivated it. She had me wear the divine love pendant, and it just like took the wind out of those sails. Now I keep seeing images of things like, just like the metaphoric thing. It's like, imagine like an image of a person, and then it flips and it's an image of like the digital mimic picture that we came up with. And then it flips and it's back to a person. It flips, it's back to a mimic. Just depends on what polarity you're actually on, is what you see and how they react to you. And in addition to that, it seems like the other thing she was showing me when I turned the camera back on, in addition to like the different polarities of attractants, strange attractors when it comes to particles, had to do with the quantum numbers and superposition. Because in superposition, things are not either a 1 or a 0, but they're simultaneously a 1 and a 0 until a choice is made. So I am kind of like in this, what she was showing me in a picture was kind of like, okay, now I'm in a kind of superposition state because of Lumen and all that stuff. And I've been that way for a while. So it's kind of like my body, my experience, my perception, my consciousness is still seeing things through that negative polarity state, but yet I have the positive polarity consciousness in me too. I've got her. I've got Christ flame, I got lumen, all the different faces of her. So I got positive field overlapping within a negative field. And now what we need to start doing is just letting go, is taking the attention away from all the negative. Stop trying to fix it. Stop trying to fight it. Like, stop trying to tell people one more trick, because let's face it, I've been telling you tricks for 6 years. Okay, I think you got enough. In the end, if I have to play it out where I'm carrying the ball over the line, then I got to do that. So I got to like switch the attention away from fighting mimics and stuff like that to focusing strictly on the positive aspect. That's why she guided me to make like the new intro with that Tesla love song. Very different vibe. Change the freaking, let the conflict go. Like, focus. And now I'm starting to see the images that she's given me. It's like it wants to flip. Mimic, regular person, mimic. And then it's like going like, instead of regular person, it's like light person. Mimic light person. And all this is happening at the time that we're encroaching on this April 20th area. And we've got the whole trick worked out and programmed in, where when, like, the event, the flash, the flip, the whatever it is, will happen in the now. Not in the future. It might be in the future, but just simply by saying that it's not here yet. But the part of the sentence where it says it will happen in, it's not going to happen in the future, it happens in the now. So when you say it happens in the now, then you will eventually intersect it. If you say it happens in the future, you will never intercept it. So all this stuff is freaking lining up. All these things, like just like the stuff today. It was like little bits and pieces of like, remember how it used to be. When you talk to people, when people talk to you instead of fighting with you, when you needed something and it just like, look how fast I can provide it for you, like the microphone. Like when I said, I was just half joking, like somebody wants to hook me up with a microphone. Last thing I expected when I said that yesterday was to have one today. Have somebody want to get it for me today, and then find it on Amazon, and then like you can either get it overnight or pay $4 more and get it in 3 hours. And I paid the extra couple bucks and I got it in 1 hour and 50 minutes. That's how fast she can make things happen. But yeah, there does have to be an end of the story. Like, this story has to end. You understand? That's another thing like religion and like being in the world does, is it pushes everything out in the future like it's never going to happen. I'm going to just live forever. How many people you see around you that have lived forever? Like, the story ends eventually. But like in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus said, whoever discovers the secret of these things will not taste death. It might just be the transformation flip. Everything's making sense. Everything's lining up. So this is very, very interesting and exciting. Shifting faces, friend. Okay, I think I covered all the big stuff I wanted to cover tonight. So yeah, if you have any questions about anything I said that you want me to clarify, like, you know what, this makes me feel itchy. So here's the thing you said that made me feel a little twitchy. Can you clarify this? Maybe we can straighten it out. Yeah, sure. I'll clarify it for you. And then we get somewhere. But removing those identities, I am a this, especially if it's especially if it's Christian, because that's the thing that is specifically blocking Sophia, because they turned the divine feminine into the devil. I mean, I've covered the problems with Christianity ad nauseum. It's pretty easy, like when the actual characters are the ones telling you what the problem is, and the fact that I've actually accomplished all that stuff. Well, there's that too. It's not just hearsay. I read a book. But let's go ahead and wrap this up for right now. If you want to get in touch with us, you want to support the channel, ways to do that are in the description box below. If you have questions, reach out to me. You can reach me through the Etsy store. You can reach me through my Facebook page. Leave a comment in the comment section below. There's our music channel with the music that she wrote. Like, everything that you need is going to be in the description box below. Okay, that's all we got for right now. Calleth and Lumen. See you next time.